Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Welcome, 6th grade, to Boy Scout Camp.
Yeah, guys, this is St. John's River Base at Achokity over here on Doctors Lake in Orange Park, Florida, just a few minutes across the river from school. Today, Mr. Ferko and I are out here. We're looking at the different plants that make up our environment here in Florida. We've been studying about plant cells for a while now. So now we're going to figure out how those cells come together to make plants.
Yeah, exactly, and since we were talking about cells, and cells are very small, we're going to see, we're going to take a look at some of these plants as they get larger and identify. So what we'd like you guys to do is we'd like you to research 3 different plants in your neighborhood. We could talk about the structure, the functions, and how they relate to one another, and also comparing and contrasting each one. So you could put this in a paper format in a paragraph on each one of them.
Yeah, so you're going to cover 3, and you're going to talk about their functions, how they reproduce, how they get their food, their nutrients. You're also going to talk about their form, what they look like, how they took on that form.
You know, just like vascular and non-vascular plants, we're going to talk about that as well. And like I said, seed dispersal, how they reproduce either through seeds or budding or spores. So those could be some ways that your plant reproduces.
So we want you guys to get outside, go find an interesting plant to talk about, and then you guys are going to spend time doing that. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you later on in the video.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm going to cover my first plant. I'm covering Spanish moss. Now, Spanish moss, funny enough, is not either a moss or a lichen. Instead, it's a flowering plant. And so, during the late summer, the Spanish moss will start producing its own flowers, which will create seeds once they've been pollinated by insects, and those seeds will then spread throughout the air, and more Spanish moss will grow. If we took the camera and panned around, you would see Spanish moss is everywhere. It grows all over the trees. And while it doesn't harm the trees, sometimes it can stunt its growth just a little bit if too much of it grows. So Spanish moss is very stringy. It's kind of like a beard almost. In fact, Spanish moss is sometimes called old man's beard. And here's a piece here. You can imagine why. The story goes that long ago there was a really mean old man, and the reason he was so mean and the reason he was so mad was because everywhere he walked in the woods, his beard would get caught on the trees, on the limbs, on the ground, and it would pull off. And that's why we have Spanish moss all over the place. So that's the old story behind that. So if you have a cool story about it, make sure you include that. The purposes of Spanish moss were used a lot in bedding. Very early on, before the 1900s, it was used in bedding. It was used in the lining of seats and cars. So Spanish moss had a lot of uses over the years. It doesn't so much anymore. We really don't have much interest in using it, although it does have a distinct appearance. It's mostly found throughout the South and parts of South America. All right, guys, that's it on Spanish moss. Let's go over to Mr. Ferko for the next one.
All right, guys, our next plant is actually right down over here. That there you're looking at is called the white ginger lily. Actually, it is an invasive species found from Asia and Nepal. And what an invasive species is a species that is not from here in North America or where we live. Okay, so it comes from somewhere else. Now, this species is a non-vascular plant. All right, so it reproduces by flowering flowers and seeds, also known as an angiosperm, is a flowering plant. It is also a monocot, which has 1 seed. The dicot has 2, so di meaning 2, mono meaning 1. So this one has one seed. Now these plants actually grow along streams and waterlogged areas. As you take a look at this little estuary or stream that you're looking at with this plant. Now, it is, when I was going back to saying it is an invasive plant, it is one that spreads its population or distributes its seeds rapidly and aggressively. So in this process of seed distribution, an invasive plant chokes the root systems and prohibits proper growth in from other plants in the area.
All right, guys, that's everything you need to know about the magnolia tree. Have fun going out there and looking at more. We're going to go back one more time with me and Mr. Ferko, and we're going to get you guys out. All right, guys, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure you knock out that project before Friday or on Friday and send it to us. That's it for me.
And then enjoy going out and looking at these plants and getting that information to us through school email.
All right, or Microsoft Teams. That's a great
Microsoft Teams.
source as well.